IVM.
Hello. Welcome back to the 169th episode of IVM Likes. Joining me on this awesome episode are Amit Doshi, the founder of IVM Podcast. Hey, Amit.
Hey, how's it going?
All great. And Zarina Poonawalla, the host of the Empowering Series podcast on the IVM Network. Hey, Zarina.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
All great. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. My name is Antariksh and I'll be the host today. And today, in the second half of the show, we'll be talking about something very, very cool that we haven't talked about. I don't think we have discussed this before, Amit and I. Zarina, I'm sure you have a lot of experience in this. We're talking about badass women role models in movies or in any other form of pop culture. It can be TV shows, books, everything is in play. That's coming up in the second half of the show, so please stay tuned for that. In the first half, as you guys know, if you're tuning in for the first time, you may not know this. How this show works is the first half of the show is basically recommendations. We recommend something cool in the pop culture sphere. It can be, again, movies, books. It can be a piece of music that we've recently checked out and we would like you guys, our listeners, to check out as well, because we feel it's awesome and we think that you would think so too. So let's get started with this. How about Amit? Would you like to start us off with your recommendation today?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So this is probably the quickest I'm recommending something after it's released, like ever in history. So just last weekend, Netflix released a movie called The Trial of the Chicago 7. This is a movie directed by Aaron Sorkin, who in my mind is probably the best writer of fiction drama that's been around in the last 50 years, right? I mean, like, to give you an example, honestly, I can probably rattle off his entire resume if I wanted to, right? So, his first thing that he got most popular for was A Few Good Men. After that, he made The American President. After that, he created a TV show called Sports Night. After that, he created The West Wing, another TV show, iconic show, which I think most people must have seen. After The West Wing, he created another show called Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip. Horribly reviewed, but massively enjoyed, right? I was looking at it recently and it averages like 9 on IMDb in terms of like user reviews.
Wow.
He was the writer of Charlie Wilson's War. He was the writer of The Social Network. He was the writer of, I'm missing a movie in there, which I can't think of. Then he made the show, with Jeff Bridges. Damn it, what's it called? How can I forget it? It's the one where he has the massive, the Newsroom. Sorry, the Newsroom, right? He made the show called The Newsroom. He directed a movie called Molly's Game, and now he's directed The Trial of Chicago 7. He also wrote a movie called Malice in the early 90s. I mean, like, honestly, this guy is as good as it comes from a writing perspective. This is a second directorial effort. What you might see as something that's common over here is, right, what does he write about? He writes a lot about the entertainment space. He writes a lot about politics. These are two of, like, the things that he goes through over and over again. If you look at The Trial of Chicago 7, what's it about? It's a story following the 1968 Democratic National Convention. Same way that we saw conventions in this last year, they had conventions there. But there were riots that broke out in that convention. Right now, many say the police caused those riots. Many say the rioters caused those riots. But there were riots that broke out at that.
Can I ask who was the president during this time? Like,
so
was it
the
Democratic or Republican president?
So it was a Democratic president. The president was Lyndon B. Johnson, who had succeeded John F. Kennedy.
Okay.
But he was not running for a re-election. And so it was the person being nominated was Hubert Humphrey, who was standing for elections against Richard Nixon.
Okay.
And the reason why this happened at Democratic National Convention was, more than anything else, was like, there needs to be a real difference between Richard Nixon and Hubert Humphrey, or the Democratic standard bearer and the Republican standard bearer. They can't be the same people, right? Now, as part of this, there were 7 people who were arrested for causing the riots, if you will. And then they added an 8th to it. Okay. Now, this was all pretty much manipulated by the Nixon Justice Department. They wanted to make an example of these people. So Abby Hoffman, Jerry Rubin, who were fairly popular names at that point in time, along with the founders of SDS, the Student Democratic Society, again, a well-known group of protesters. And then there were 3 other guys as well. And then they added in Bobby Seale, who was the founder of the Black Panthers.
Okay.
because he was also in Chicago that day. So basically, what they wound up doing is that even if people had nothing to do with each other, they arrested
Yes, yeah.
all of them together and tried to charge them with conspiracy to commit violence. And this is the story about the trial that happens over there
Wow.
after that. And it's full of all the Sorkinisms that you could possibly want, right? Everything that you're looking from a Sorkin drama, you're getting. You're getting people who are working for something bigger than themselves. You're getting
Yeah.
people who are intensely intelligent, disagreeing about stuff in ways which are intelligent to do. You get unbelievable crackerjack dialogue throughout the entire thing. It's, I mean, like, honestly, I saw it on Sunday afternoon and I started again last night. I didn't watch the entire thing last night, but I will finish it tonight in all likelihood.
Okay. Wow.
That's one of the things about Sorkin. You don't get all of it the first time you watch it because his dialogue is so dense. The first time you watch anything he does, you catch probably about 60% of it.
Wow.
And then you watch it a second time and that's when you really get it.
From what you described, there are so many parallels to the situation in India with the whole JNU and the Delhi riots thing.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely,
yeah.
right? So I mean, like there are actually a ton of articles written about that right now, where
Okay.
people are talking about these parallels, about what the way the police and the protesters went after each other. Because
Right.
see, here's the thing: the police are not faultless, but neither are the protesters in either of these cases.
Correct.
Right? In
Yeah.
the US also, I think in 68 that was definitely the case, and I think that even at JNU that was definitely the case. It's not that either of these are completely faultless. It's not like the cops went out and beat up a bunch of innocent school kids. At
Yeah.
the same time, it's not as if these guys were out there rioting, waiting for cops to try to be, instigating cops to the point where the cops should indulge in violence, right? So while neither of them are 100% right, I feel like that's a really interesting parallel over here. The other thing is, in some ways, 1968 in the US context is watershed just in terms of like, what happened to their culture post that. It really is a before and after. And I feel like what happened over here in January, February in Delhi is similarly, there's a before and after in our country that we're going to see based on that, right? COVID has disrupted that before and after, but I do think that from a individual liberty perspective, from all of those perspectives, there's definitely going to be a before and after in this country based on that.
Wow, this is amazing. The trial of the Chicago 7.
Dude, great star cast too. I mean, like honestly, just like an absolutely amazing star cast. Sacha Baron Cohen, Eddie Redmayne, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Jeremy Strong from Succession.
Wow.
Then Michael Keaton's in it. Frank Langella plays this ridiculously crazy judge, like insane judge. Yahya Abdul Mateen plays Bobby Seale. It's an incredible star cast, dropping like the most incredible dialogue.
You think this any of these are Oscar-worthy performances?
That's a good question. Is any of them an Oscar-worthy performance? I think any of them could be, and many of them could be. I think the guy. So I think Eddie Redmayne possibly could be Oscar-worthy. Okay. I think Yahya Mateen could be Oscar-worthy. The guy who plays William Kunstler, I'd never heard of this actor before. Actor named Mark Rylance. Okay. He plays William Kunstler, who is like. I don't know if I have an exact parallel to him, but William Kunstler is like this. So he died in like I think the 90s or something like that. But I was in the US in college at the time when he died, and he was this archetypical protest radical lawyer. Like he had this big bushy hair, which is coming out. He's like Bernie Sanders before Bernie Sanders.
Okay, wow, very cool. Oh, I totally.
But yeah, the actor who played him was ridiculously good, and actually, even maybe the judge, right, Frank Langella. Yeah. He played the judge Julius Hoffman, as negative a role as you could possibly imagine, but he was really, really good too. So maybe he might get best supporting actor buzz.
I don't know, how aware are you of the actual original incident? Because I'm just asking because how truly do they follow the source material?
So it's somewhat accurate, but it's true without being accurate, if that makes sense, right? There's a certain amount of truth to it, but it's not 100% accurate. Like there are some things I know. Like I know that all of Bobby Seale's dialogue in court came from court transcripts.
Oh,
right?
Wow.
So that there was no dialogue written specifically for him, which was not in the court transcript. So that is definitely true to life. But I think that there are definitely, dude, this Aaron Sorkin, he needs to make this perfectly dramatic. So he's making, I'm sure he's taking liberties in that sense.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
But the thing itself, the incident itself was a big deal. I've been aware of the incident for many years. I mean, again, when William Cutler died, I was aware of who he was and his backstory. Two of the people who are playing characters over here, right? The guy played by Sacha Baron Cohen and the guy played by the guy from Succession, who played Abby Hoffman and Jerry Rubin. Jerry Rubin and Abby Hoffman were very, very famous figures.
Okay.
So I was familiar with who they were.
Wow, that's a great recommendation. I'm totally going to watch this. It's on Netflix. It's called The Trial of the Chicago 7 by Aaron Sorkin. Please check it out, guys. Zarina, let's get to you. What would you like to recommend?
I'm going to add Criminal UK. I don't know if anyone's watched it yet, but I just find it extremely crisp and interesting. It's by Jim Field Smith, and you've got about 7 episodes of. It's just that box room, that interrogation room, and there are 7 episodes. There's Kit Harington and there's David Tennant and all these different people happening there. And
wait, David Tennant, like the doctor, is in this?
Yeah, the Doctor Who. Yeah, correct.
David Tennant's the doctor.
Yeah. He's in there.
Kit Harington is Jon Snow.
Kit Harington is Jon Snow. Sorry, should I give you references like that? Then I'll also tell you. There's Kunal Nair from The Big Bang Theory, if that makes sense. Yeah, so you've got some amazing actors. It's about 7 episodes, really crisp. And what I liked about it is it gives you a perspective about something that you wouldn't imagine. I mean, you're looking at a criminal, but then sometimes you've got to understand where that psychology is coming from. And, you know how they tell you don't judge a book by its cover sort of a thing. So I kind of noticed that when it came to 1 or 2 of the episodes, there were nice twists and turns. And it was very nice. It was very crisp. The actors were amazing.
I saw a monologue by Kit Harington about ways. Yeah, that's what got me interested in the show. I've been meaning to watch this, and this monologue went viral. It's like a one take monologue, about 9 to 10 minutes long, and the delivery of it is just mind blowing. He takes you with you in that journey. It's great.
It's literally like a black box entire show. So the whole show takes place inside the room.
Literally, that's it. They don't show you any visuals or any acts from the scene that may have happened, you know, like they don't show you victims, they don't show you anybody. It's basically just the interrogation room, and that's it. So you've just got the victim, you've got the judge, the lawyer or the attorney, and you've got these amazing actors who are, interrogating them, the police and all these people, and it's really nice. They call them constables and things like that, but there's
I'm sold. I'm watching this next.
You must. And I think you're right about this, Antariksh. When I saw that monologue, I remember my husband telling me it seems like he's done this in one take. And then later I realized that it's actually gone by. And it's really well done. And his story was also quite interesting. You know, it does revolve around the whole Me Too movement and things like that. In some way, it's relatable. And in some way, you know, you kind of see the scenario where men can suffer at the hands of feminism at times or can be taken for granted. So I think he's done a brilliant job. But overall, fantastic performances. There's I think, Catherine Kelly. She's one of the chief interrogators. There's Lee Ingleby. There's, I mentioned Kunal Nair. I think people really were wanting to see him in that kind of a role, because if you know him from The Big Bang Theory, you just know him as this
Raja.
Idiot. Essentially, he's a moron, right? He's a genius moron. He's got the
like a brown lad who's just trying to fit in there and being that idiot like you're talking about. So he's got a very, very straight face, poker faced look, and you wouldn't recognize him. He's literally unrecognizable.
Wow.
And there's also, I think, Sophie Okonedo. She's in there. I know she's one of these people who's done this new Netflix bit. I don't know what it's called. Ratchet, I think. I don't know if anyone.
Ratchet.
Oh, yeah. The one based on One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Right. So she's in that as well. Correct. Amazing actor. Amazing performances. So Criminal UK would be my recommendation this week if anyone's interested.
And where can people check this out?
It's on Netflix.
Where can people check this out?
Netflix.
Okay, cool.
Hey, Netflix should sponsor this show.
It looks like.
Yeah.
But recommendation. Amit's definitely watching it.
Amit is definitely watching. This is right up his alley. This is a cop procedural. This is a criminals are involved. This is
what I knew. This is what I watch, right? But this sounds like it might be a weekend watch rather than a night watch. Is it multiple episodes serialized, or is every episode its own thing?
Its own thing. So you've got 7 really crisp, content-driven, very, very cut and dry, just out there episodes.
Okay. But each episode is a standalone story.
Yes, it is.
Okay, awesome. I am so watching this tonight.
You must. What I'm most intrigued about is the fact that the way they've just shot it in that little box, and you've got such limited characters, but everyone's par excellence. And the story is also, the content, really well done.
What I love about this idea, about the concept of the show, is that this is basically how you would hear about it, about something like an incident like this as well. It'll just be hearsay from the person's mouth. It'll just be witness, whatever the witness says. And they're not showing anything of the actual background that happened of the incident, which is, I really love that. I think that's great.
Yeah. So you're just supposed to use your imagination and kind of visualize what could have happened and who the characters were and what's the story behind this. Just all from what you're watching.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So that's Criminal UK on Netflix. Please check that out as well, guys. Let's get to my recommendation. Mine is not Netflix, so sorry Netflix. Not a fully inspired episode. Not a fully Netflix inspired episode. The last season of this show of IVM Likes, basically like before the lockdown had started, almost every episode I remember recommending something in comedy. And I think this season is going to be me recommending something in anime because I've been watching a lot of anime during this time. It's just what it is. I've been like obsessed with anime. I've been checking out all the anime that I've like listed down that I wanted to check out during this time. So there's an anime called Death Parade, which I recently saw. Death Parade. Basically, it's about this bar. The bar is called the Quindecum Bar. Okay. Each episode starts with 2 people entering the bar. The 2 lift doors open. 2 people enter this bar, and they don't have any memories of where they are, how they got there, but they just are there. And they are told that the only way to get out from the bar, is to play a series of games. And after playing that game, it will be determined where they go after that. Then you realize that this is actually them. This is the afterlife, and they'll be determining where they end up, either in heaven or in hell, depending on how they play that game. But what is very cool is it's a very cerebral, psychological kind of thriller kind of anime, where the decisions you make in that game, these are like just regular household games. It can be like a game of a game of darts. It can be billiards. It can be table tennis. It's just regular games. But there'll be like very interesting twists to these games and the rules of how these games are played that determine where you end up. I just saw this like about 2 or 3 weeks back, and I've just been thinking about how great this is. Very cool way of showing the afterlife and determining your decisions, because and as the game goes forward, the people start remembering their actual life, which also affects the way they play their game. Because your character supposing there's like a moment in the game which requires you to be a little selfless. Now that's the moment you will realize, but in actuality this person is not that selfless guy. So that's what determines whether you end up in heaven or in hell. And accordingly, I'm giving like a very base level example, but this is basically how the show goes. So the characters are great. Each episode you meet a pair of different people who play a different game, and then you realize how those 2 people are related in some way. It can be like a love relationship, it can be just a friendship, it can be just like a happenstance where we passed by each other at some point, and how their lives intertwined at some point, and why those 2 people are being judged together is also another thing.
So they've always crossed paths.
Correct.
Okay.
They always cross paths.
That's interesting.
And it also brings into question what the afterlife can or could be. Also brings into question like who decides or who has the authority to decide whether you end up in heaven or in hell, and what gives these people at the bar the right to decide. So yeah, this very short recommendation. Please check it out. It's only like 12 episodes. And yeah.
That's the shortest anime you ever recommended. Normally, you need to multiply that by like 100.
Yeah, correct. So I watched all kinds of anime. The ones I recommended previously were One Piece and My Hero Academia, which are both called shonen anime. Shonen anime are just long-lasting anime in general because they just take their while. Like for instance, One Piece has been going on for more than 900 chapters. My Hero Academia has been going on for more than 250 chapters. So this one is like a short one, like one watch, like one time watch kind of a.
So in
thing.
the podcasting, it's the difference between something like the Kolaba Cartel and Cyrus Says or Empowering series, right? One which keeps going and one which is your limited series, 10 episodes.
That's exactly it. Correct.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's another IVM podcast plug on IVM.
Hey, you gotta
with
do
the host.
That when you can.
Yeah, correct. With the founder of IVM podcast and the host of IVM podcast, Zarina Poonawalla. Yeah, very cool. That brings us to the end of the first half of this show. Let's just run down our recommendations again. Amit, what do you recommend?
The Trial of Chicago 7, directed by Aaron Sorkin on Netflix, and incredible show, movie.
Cool. Zarina?
Mine was Criminal UK. What did I say?
That's Criminal UK, also on Netflix. Please check that out.
Yeah.
Okay, and mine was Death Parade, the anime, and you can check out wherever you check out your anime because it's not available on Netflix. Thank you so much, guys. See you guys on the other side of this half.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another awesome week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you're not following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I want to remind our Tamil-speaking audience about the new show from Kadai Podcast. The previous season was Punyan Selvan. The new show that we're doing is Sivakamyan Sabata. Kavita Jiva is the host of the show. Basically, what she does is she retells these old classics in a modern idiom. I think you'll really enjoy that. Quickly running through some of the other guests that we had this week. Luke Catino showed up on Cyrus Says, where he and Cyrus had a great conversation about fitness and all things related to that. Rahul Dakuna was on Gauri Devi Dayal's show. This rounds on me. Again, great conversation around brands and things like that. Maruti Nayat had Kaveri Banzai on her show to discuss Sushant Singh Rajput's death and the effect it's going to have on Bollywood as it goes forward. Archana Vora, who is a director of small and medium businesses at Facebook, she was on Advertising is Dead, talking about the kinds of work that Facebook is doing with smaller businesses. And remember, Edges and Sledges continues its fan series. Do definitely check that out. And last, one final thing, that Cock and Bull this week was really interesting. Cyrus, Kunal Vijayakar, Gauri Devi Dayal, and myself spoke quite a bit about the restaurant industry and the challenges that they're facing in this pandemic. So do definitely check that out. I think you'll enjoy that. And with that, let me get you back to your show.
All right. Welcome back to the second half of the show. Now, this is where the meat of our episode begins. This is, we're going to talk about the badass women role models that in pop culture. If I can just quickly start off with, because I know Amit will absolutely agree with me when I say this. Just to start off with, a woman role model that I adore is Leslie Knope from Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, I buy that. She's incredible. Committed, passionate, driven, smart. Yeah, smart. Absolutely.
Yep. And
amazing.
I love the actress who plays her also. Amy Poehler is such a fantastic actress, such a fantastic comedic actress. That's one of my recommendations to watch just off the bat, because I know all of us would agree. Zarina, I hope you're a fan of the show also.
I am, but one of my tops in that department, I don't know, I've heard a lot of people having different reviews, and I did break the show in between for a little while, but Viola Davis in How to Get Away with Murder, I don't know, there's something about the character, there's something about her. And Robin Wright, House of Cards. These characters, when you say badass.
Is Robin Wright a role model, really? No. The House of Cards character?
Yeah. See, when you say badass, for me, that's badass.
That is badass.
They're, I don't know, they're pragmatic. They're really dark characters.
Yeah.
So, correct.
In that sense, you're trying to find what's really good about them at the same time, whether they're doing things the right way, wrong way. It's very grey. And
I don't think Robin Wright in House of Cards is grey at all. She's dark.
I think she was in the first 2 seasons at least.
First 2 seasons she was great. No, but then she got dark. She became a villain only, right? At the end, towards the end.
Yeah, but I'm basically talking about when I've started these shows. Now, when I've watched Viola Davis in How to Get Away with Murder, the end of the show, and when they're discussing her, when they're talking about her character. So I believe that the show really has too much of a blame game going on most of the times, who's killed whom and why and all that jazz. And it's so common amongst people to notice that kind of blame game in general, Obviously, with my kind of work, I notice that. What I like is the way she holds herself in the middle of things and makes it work. And just her performance, when she's standing in court and having a trial and speaking to a jury, just the way she performs the character, I just find that fantastic.
Interesting. I was never able to get into that show. I tried. I watched about, I think, maybe 6 or 7 episodes of it.
Really?
But this is my failure, I think, more than anything else. But the woman who runs that show, Shonda Rhimes, right?
Yeah.
She's had 3 major shows.
Mm-hmm.
And all of them I've been able to get to about 8-10 episodes, and then I just lose interest. It was true for How to Get Away with Murder. It was true with Grey's Anatomy, and it was true with Scandal. All 3 of them, I just, I like the concepts. I started watching them. I really enjoyed the first few episodes, but then I was just then I just I lost interest after 10 episodes.
That happened with me as well when I started with the show. I think I was on season 3, and then I just kind of took a break from it. But
right.
Then I realized that the other seasons have released, and we just recently finished that show, and I liked the last bit. I mean, the way they ended the season, the whole finale. I think it was one of the better finales because there are a lot of shows that I have expectations from when I'm thinking of a finale, and they don't match up.
Right. Yeah, that happens more often than not, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So keeping the whole piece in mind, and also the way she's doing the role of, let's say, a mother, or she's doing the role of a mentor or a guide, and she's trying to make things work all the time. It's like I said, these characters are dark. So when I think badass, I think dark characters who have that little bit of a ray of hope, a little light in them, and they're still trying to figure things out. I like those characters. I don't like those nice goody two shoes sorts, because they're easy to read. These are not easy to read. You've got to find something in them.
Yeah, so something along those lines, but in a more comedic vein for me is Selina Meyer from Veep. She is like a great role model, but not a great role model at the same time.
She's a great role model, but she's a horrible person.
Exactly.
Like most of Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld shows.
That's very true.
I'm not commenting so much on that, but I'm getting the point here. You watched Schitt's Creek, though.
I have so I've seen. I started it because I've heard so much good stuff about it, and I will watch it for sure because I enjoyed the 2 episodes I saw.
Right.
But I get distracted by books. I mean, and I wind up spending most of my entertainment time with books. But I do want to watch Schitt's Creek. I've heard really, really good things about it.
That's a show where I find the women characters pretty strong.
Yeah?
Yeah. And when I'm thinking about the millennials, I think Annie Murphy is quite a character, the character there, because it's a rich family, and the Levys have done a great job, Danny and Eugene, in creating that show. But I like the fact that they've come from this spoiled rich background, and they've gone bankrupt, and they've gone into a motel, living there literally. But there's so much positivity, the way they've kind of built characters.
Yeah.
And I think maybe with the millennials and the newer generation, that's the kind of role model you should look for, just bringing in the positivity and adapting to your surroundings, making something. So I find Schitt's Creek pretty cool on those lines.
Yeah, no, it's I've heard great things about that show.
Yeah,
I really want to. I need to get down and watch that.
Yeah, I've heard it's been. Didn't it just sweep the entire?
It got a bunch of Emmys. It got a bunch of Emmys. And it's when you tell people that you like Parks and Recreation, the follow-up question is almost always, "Oh, do you like? Have you seen Schitt's Creek yet?" Right, because it's got that same tonality to it, right? Where people are generally, everybody is nice, right? Nobody is. There might be conflict, but people are generally nice. They're not out to screw each other.
Yeah, they're not.
Right? Yeah, which is a problem
about the whole show.
Sorry,
nothing manipulative, nothing calculative.
That's exactly it. Yeah. So I enjoy that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
It's one of the reasons why I like most of Mike Schur's shows so much, right? Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Parks and Recreation, The Good Place. I don't love The Office to the degree most people do, but I like all the other stuff a lot.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. Let me throw in my recommendation here, since we're
please.
talking about female role models, right? I'm gonna, you know what? This is the first time ever I'm gonna do movies on both sides, right? So, my recommendation would be, and I want to somewhat quantify this, even though it's not negated, but still, Princess Leia from the original three Star Wars movies. Right, not the three that just came out, not the latest trilogy. Even though she is still an extraordinarily strong female character in those, but the time when those movies came out and the character that she was and the importance that she had in pop culture, all of that stuff is kind of it's incredibly important, right? Before we were doing this, I was just doing a couple of different internet searches, right, about Princess Leia and the character and that kind of thing, right? And there were some incredible points brought up about her that, if you look at, so she's a princess, right, which is the first thing. But if you look at princesses that were part of pop culture before her versus princesses who were part of pop culture after her, right? The ones before her were Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, Snow White, essentially princesses who had no agency. Right? And then you look at the princesses who came after her, right? You take away, I love Robin Wright, but you take away Buttercup from The Princess Bride, right? But most of the other stuff that you look other than that, right? You look at The Last Mermaid. You look at Princess Jasmine from Aladdin. You look at the princess from Shrek. Mona, is that? Sorry, I can't remember.
I think it was
Fiona, right, exactly. You look at her, you look at the princess from Frozen, you look at all of these different princesses that have come since then. And the thing that Princess Leia really changed is she changed the idea of agency, right? Like when Luke Skywalker broke into that room, he said, "I'm Luke Skywalker, I'm here to rescue you." And she's like, "Who are you?" That was her reaction. "Who are you?" I mean, like it's amazing. She's the dominant force in that movie from a plot driving perspective.
Right.
She's the one who cares about politics. Luke Skywalker is a hick from nowhere. Han Solo is a thief. Neither of these two care about politics. She's the one who cares about politics. And she basically gets them both to care enough so that they become what they become.
That's right.
Right? When when she in the third movie or in this, so in the first movie she doesn't have a hero, if you will, right? She's independent. In the second movie, she and Han start to develop the feelings for each other, right? In the third movie, she's the one who organizes Han Solo's rescue. She's the first one who gets captured by Jabba the Hutt. Following which you get C-3PO and R2-D2, following which you get Chewbacca, following which you get Luke Skywalker, all of whom then who get there. But Princess Leia is the first one there. She's the one who kills Jabba. I mean, like, so she's incredible. She's awesome. She is what a she's just amazing. I mean, like, one of my favorite characters.
I wanted to add something even from your drama and comedy genre, if I may. I did mention that when I see a badass role model, I'm thinking more gray and a little dark, and people who have these qualities which are hard to read, but that they really have it in them, right? But it's funny, but this has anybody watched The Marvelous Mrs. Maisels?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
So I actually love Susie, and I think she's badass. Like knowing how to get a job done. Like she's typically that person who just has the grit to go on. I mean, more than what's her name, Rachel, right? Rachel Brosnahan. So I just like this character of Susie very much when I'm thinking of somebody who's really got it in them. Just so driven and so crazy and not really so bothered about what is going on around. I mean, not really fearful of judgment. I believe that's important to have in a role model.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes a ton of sense. I think you're right. I think the willingness to step out of what is your traditional role, right? I think that's one. Given the state of feminism in India, just generally, right? I mean, like when you're looking at role models, I think that has to be one of the main things you look at, right? How do you step out of the traditional roles?
Yeah, true. If I can talk about something that a lot of people my age or maybe younger will agree with, a teen role model is Hermione Granger from the Harry Potter movies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Right. Yeah, dude. Like, what a great character. The smartest person in the three leads of the series.
Not so much
always,
of a teenager anymore, but okay.
Yeah, correct. I'm saying like in the movies, she was like the character is a teenager, the Hermione Granger character, and the books actually. Actually, the books more so than the movies, I would say. Just because the books expand more basically on the movies. That's about.
No, but she still presents as a character every now and then, right? J.K. Rowling's still writing short stories in that universe.
Yeah.
And I think she's like a proper adult now.
Oh, okay. I have not checked out any of the things after the.
Neither have I. I haven't read any of them, but I know that she's writing short stories in that universe. Yeah. You have to get them from her website or something like that.
Yeah, I think the problem that I've been having is this. When I thought the Harry Potter series ended, it ended for me. So everything after that is just like, she's just trying to mint money, and it's not really a continuation.
She doesn't need to mint money, dude. She's made the money she needs to make.
That's very true. That's actually very
true. She doesn't need to make money. She's see, that's the thing which I generally don't agree with, right? When very rarely is somebody doing something just to make money. The motivations might not be absolutely pure in that sense, right? I mean, like it might just be that, hey, I was successful over here and I want the acclamation again. And that might be the motivation, but very rarely is that motivation pure cash. At least I don't think it is.
No, you might. I think you're right. You might be right.
It could also just be that you're so used to, or you're so happy doing something and creating something that has worked for you, that you don't mind putting your blood and sweat to it again and again and again.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Maybe that.
Yeah, what I meant to say was basically for me the story when it ended there, after that it seemed like an expansion which is maybe not needed for me.
That I was thinking, because after that I haven't bothered to see or watch or know or even find out anything about what's going on in the Harry Potter universe.
No, so I haven't read any of the books, but I saw the two movies that came out, the Fantastic Beasts and the Grindelwald movie that came out after that. I saw the movies, but I haven't seen I haven't read any of the books.
Those were what? Just continuations of the Harry Potter?
So I had read those books too. So what she had done is between, I think, books 5 and 6 or between 4 and 5, she had released 2 mini books for charity.
Okay.
One was Fantastic Beasts and Where You Can Find Them, which was supposed to be like a encyclopedia of magical animals.
Right.
And the second was about Quidditch and the history of Quidditch.
Mm-hmm.
Both of these she had released, and the proceeds all went to charity. And they were very small books, right? I mean, like they were both like sub 100-page books, like very, very small books.
Mm-hmm.
So they took the they took the name Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, which is the name of the book written by the person who they made the hero.
Yeah.
But it's essentially a fresh script, if you will.
Well, yeah. So when you're talking about a Hermione Granger for teens.
Yeah,
that makes sense. But has anyone watched Outlander though?
Outlander, which one is Outlander? Is that the British, the time travel series?
Yes, it is. It is a time travel series.
Okay.
So,
no, I've not seen it. I've heard of it, but I've not seen it.
Yeah. So we kind of I got very involved in that series initially because I never read the book. But then we ended up doing a trip to Scotland and we did an Outlander tour as well. So we got involved because of the castles and things. And I think the character which is time traveling, the Claire Fraser, she is also, you see a lot of things. She's a doctor, she's a surgeon, she's a healer. And she just stands her ground. So, she has a lot of characteristics of what one would want to believe is that role model. And in the drama series, there's also a lot of pure love happening and a pure romance taking place. So I'm guessing from all those, even the romanticizing aspects of things, I think she's one of those characters I see fitting into these badass people. Or models, role models.
Always, So I think there are a lot of really interesting characters in historical fiction or fantasy fiction from this perspective, right? So one of the first books I read in the fantasy space was a series of books called Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. They were really they were very interesting books, but what was interesting, I think, most interesting. Not most interesting. The magic system was probably the most interesting. But what he did with the protagonist, right, is he made so there's a there's this thing called the hero's journey, right? It is a classic conception created by Joseph Conrad, the guy who wrote The Heart of Darkness, about what are the steps that a typical hero would make to grow for a journey of self-actualization, right?
Yeah.
And this includes stuff like, they start off as a farm boy, meet, say, if you look at Star Wars, right? I mean, like the movie which I just recommended, Star Wars is literally a step-by-step narrative form of the hero's journey, right? Starts with a naive farm boy. Farm boy then meets a crazy old coot who somehow is going to teach him all kinds of stuff. Farm boy's family dies. Farm boy has to go and make his way in the world. He finds something which he is better at than anybody else is at. He goes through training. After he goes through training, he goes to a group of he finds like-minded soldiers to fight a war. He fights the war. He succeeds either at the war or not, but he becomes a man. This is the hero's journey. So what they did over here is that they flipped the hero's journey in a way where they made Vin, who was the main character in Mistborn, an orphan girl, made her run through the hero's journey. And it was really interesting how they kind of played off the fact that she was a woman as opposed to a man in a semi-feudal society. There were some really interesting aspects of that in it.
Oh, very true. Another thing that every single superhero, female superhero, is basically a role model, if you think about it. So every woman superhero that I can think of in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, say the Black Widow, Captain Marvel, Jessica Jones. Have you guys seen the TV show Jessica Jones?
Not really.
It.
I love the first season.
Half an episode, didn't like it.
Yeah.
I love the first season. The first season was great.
I just, she was quite disturbed, but that's not the point. I don't know. I just didn't find it gripping. Now, Jessica Jones and Luke Cage were two of the shows which I couldn't enjoy from.
Oh,
I haven't enjoyed any of the Marvel TV shows. The DC shows are much better than the Marvel shows are.
Okay, no,
Arrow,
again,
Flash,
I would say,
Supergirl.
I would say Daredevil is just fantastic as a TV show. Especially the first and the third season are just amazing. They're great.
Maybe I should try it because I remember when I tried to watch it, I was watching it from the first time initially from dubious sources, and the sound wasn't so great.
The first season was pretty good. I just found the character deteriorate, and I found him slightly weaker towards the second or third season. But I like Arrow. I love Arrow.
Arrow is great.
Really well.
Arrow is great. The Flash is great. Supergirl is great. Legends of Tomorrow is great. DC shows are fun.
They are.
I don't remember. Antariksh, did we talk about this on Cyrus or somewhere? But basically, the DC shows are the DC TV shows are fun. The movies are dark.
Right.
Yes,
the Marvel TV movies are fun, and the shows are dark.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And Gotham. Anybody watched Gotham?
I've seen Gotham. I've seen the
first season of it.
Yeah, I've seen the first two seasons. I think.
Okay.
It's okay. I didn't find it the best.
Okay is a good word for it. I don't think I put it more than okay.
Yeah, it's not even it's not based in that same universe. Also within the TV shows, it's a different universe. Yeah, there's no crossover.
To what the actual universe is all about. Yeah. There are some interesting characters. So if you're watching a show for the characters instead of just watching it for
I know what you mean. The character played by Jada Pinkett was fun to watch. The few episodes I saw.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, very good.
Yeah. But I didn't watch that much. I think I saw like most of the first season, but that's it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Like I really like Jessica Jones, the Netflix series, and I saw only the first season. I don't think I saw the second season. After which it just didn't get continued after that. The first season was great for me because it's all about her struggle of dealing with this trauma that happened to her, where basically the main villain's power is being able to tell you to do something and you'll do it. Basically brainwashing.
Yeah.
Right? He can control you by his speech, and he was basically controlling her because the villain is obsessed with her. So he basically he sexually harassed her, sexually abused her, mentally, all these things he has to deal with. So all that trauma is what is shown her, basically what is shown her dealing with. Basically they're showing her dealing with this thing the entire season. And I found it very, very strong and very powerful and very engaging. So that was very cool for me. Yeah, that's about it. Cool. So again, coming to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, also should mention I already did Black Widow is a great character because she's been involved in 5 movies now at some point.
I think more than that.
I think the 5th movie will be her. So she was in Iron Man 2, then the Avengers, 4 Avengers, and now the 5th, Civil War. So 6 now, yeah, 6. The Black Widow will be the 6th movie.
I think she showed up in a lot of movies, man.
I can count 6. I'm pretty sure I'm right.
You're probably right.
Yeah,
you're probably right. I honestly, once we the later movies in this cycle all kind of blur into each other.
Okay, fair enough. But again, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe has done this cool thing where each character, through all their appearances in their movies, have their arcs formed through their appearances in separate movies. Like one single movie may not have a character's complete arc, but like over the course of like the 6 movies that Black Widow has done, her backstory, a little bit of what the future held for her, and now you will find out about like her backstory in detail in the upcoming movie. And she, in the end, she ended up sacrificing herself for the greater good. So yeah, that's a great role model to look up to. Why not? Yeah, I think that's a great point to end this episode at.
Okay.
We talked about a lot of great female role models here. It's a fantastic chat. Yeah, I think I'm sure we are missing so many women role models again. Like I can think of Ripley from the Alien series. I can think of for me Liz Lemon from 30 Rock, the TV show, is a great role model.
Tina Fey in anything.
Tina Fey in anything, I would say. I totally agree.
I think we should be. I don't know. Let's say the difference between role model and badass. Right? I mean, like, they aren't necessarily the same thing, right? Tina Fey in 30 Rock is a badass. Is she a role model?
I mean, she's a boss. She's a boss who runs her life.
The show. Nah, dude, but she's nuts.
She is a little kooky, for sure.
She is insane. I love that show. It's one of my favorite shows ever, but she's nuts. So I don't know. I mean, like, role model is a strong word there, right? Like Amy Poehler in Parks, absolutely a role model, right?
Absolutely a role model, yeah.
Tina Fey and 30 Rock, I don't know, right? Like, again, the same way, Kristen Green in, Kristen Green in The Good Place, right? Maybe she becomes more of a role model towards the end, but at the start of it, absolutely not, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
So,
but I would still argue that Tina Fey in 30 Rock, Liz Lemon is a role model because it's that whole like she's just a regular person. She's a regular person trying to go through her life. She's a boss who runs this team. She has to answer to someone higher than her. And she's trying to balance all of that. So her struggle of balancing that is what I would say makes her a role model. And it's a comedy show. So
I think what's important to understand is that the meaning of a role model can be different for different people. I mean, what you're looking for in a role model. So if there's a character which is like a Tina Fey I saw her in one of the episodes of Kimmy Schmidt, 2 or 3.
Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt,
yeah. And I found she was amazing in the characters, but she wasn't a role model in any way there. Although she was a therapist, she wasn't a role model. So I get what Amit is saying, but in my opinion, I think it is very perspective. All three of us can have a very different idea about what a role model must be for us. So keeping that in mind, I think in your own definition of things, your role model will be badass. No matter if it's like a Tina Fey in 30 Rock or it could be your, Princess Leia, you said, right?
Yeah, Princess Leia. Oh my God.
Well, thank you so much, Zarina. That was a great way to round that up. That was so well done.
Zarina, I have to send you the Star Wars movies and you need to watch them now.
I will. I mean, I've watched it, but I haven't really. I just found a time when it was a little overrated, so that I didn't bother so much.
If you're calling her Princess Lua instead of Princess Leia, you need to watch the Star Wars movies.
What did I say?
Laura, you said Laura. Okay, sorry.
No, of course not. You didn't hear it. What's with the headphones?
All right. Thank you so much, guys. This was a lovely chat.
Thanks, everybody.
And thank you, Zarina. Zarina, where can people follow you online if they want to follow you?
They can follow me on Instagram at Zarina Poonawalla. They can follow me on Facebook or Twitter. And and follow the Empowering series every Thursday.
Absolutely.
And Monday Mantras every Monday. I think that's where you follow me if you want to.
Yes, absolutely. Please check those out and please follow her online. Amit.
Doshi Amit on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, etc., etc.
Thank you. And I am Antariksh T on Instagram and Antariksh Tack on Twitter. Please follow me there. See you guys next week. Thank you.
Whether you're an established sports person or a budding one or simply a sports enthusiast, join us, Tanvi and Shlok.
We are two passionate pro badminton players talking policy, mindset and everything sport.
So tune in to The Millennial Athlete every Monday.
Only on the IVM Podcast Network.
Trust us, it's gonna be lit.
Sachin Tendulkar, Virat Kohli, Don Bradman, and now Cyrus Brocha. Okay, probably not in the right company. I mean, Don Bradman is Australian. But it's called Cyrus Says, a wonderful show about everything. Find the show on the IVM Podcast app, ivmpodcast.com, or wherever you listen to podcasts.